Welcome to Unit 1, Module 5, Pollution and its Types. Learning Objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to learn about the different types of pollution, understand the sources of pollution. Ever since large groups of people gathered and stayed for a long time in a certain location, pollution began and became a part of mankind. Indeed, the remains of ancient human communities such as rubbish, mud pots, shells, etc. got piled up, and such piles were often used to identify the place of settlement and were marked as archaeological sites. As long as there was enough room for each person or a group in that area, pollution was not an issue. However, pollution became a problem with the creation of permanent settlements. Several thousands of people started living in one location, and this became a cause for concern ever since. So, what is pollution? The presence of harmful substances in the air, land and water which can have adverse impact on air, land and water, and in turn in the living species and on the environment is pollution. So, pollution is when harmful gases, fluid or other malign matter are released or introduced into the natural environment. Pollution is an undesirable change in the physical, chemical and biological features of our land, air or water brought on by an excessive build-up of pollutants. One of the most significant natural sources of pollution are volcanoes. The volcano's eruption release large quantities of harmful gases into the atmosphere. Volcanic gases that are released include carbon dioxide, which can be fatal in large concentrations and contributes to climate change, hydrogen halides, which can cause acid rain, sulfur dioxide, which are harmful to animals and it damages the ozone layer, hydrogen sulfides, which are capable of killing humans at concentrations of less than 1 part per thousand. Volcanic eruptions also include fine and ultrafine particles which may contain toxic chemicals and substances such as arsenic, lead and mercury. Human generated pollution happens when pollution occurs from vehicle emission, coal-fired power plants. Pollution occurs when energy or any other substance is released into the environment at a rate that is faster than it can be safely stored or dispersed. Artificial and natural materials that are produced, used and disposed in an unsustainable way can be referred to as pollution. Additionally, excessive human activity such as light and noise pollution as well as specific contaminants like plastic or radioactive material can also be considered as forms of pollution. So, let us now see the different types of pollution. There are three major types of pollution, namely air, water and land pollution. In addition, there are also other types of pollution, namely radioactive pollution, noise, light, litter pollution, plastic, thermal and also visual pollution. Pollution of all kinds, be it light, noise or visual pollution, all have an adverse effect on the health and well-being of people as well as on the environment and on the wildlife. Now, let us see each of the types of pollution in detail. Air pollution. Air pollution is the result of deteriorating air quality and normal atmospheric conditions. The air pollutant could either be a gas or a particle. The primary factor causing climatic change is air pollution. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere rise as a result of human activities like burning fossil fuels and widespread deforestation. The heat gets trapped inside the atmosphere. The various types of air pollutants include carbon monoxide, lead, nitrogen oxides, ground level ozone, particle pollution referred to as particulate matter, and sulfur oxides. The air pollutants can broadly classified into three categories: gaseous pollutants, which includes gases and vapors; suspended particle matter, which includes dust, fumes, mists and smoke; and odors. Example of suspended particle matter or particulate matter include diesel exhaust particles, coal fly ash, wood smoke, mineral dust like coal, asbestos, limestone and cement, metal dust, fumes, acid mists like sulfuric acid, and also pesticide mists. Depending on the overall amount of suspended particles, the suspended particulate matter PM can be divided into two categories: the most dangerous, which is called PM 2.5, and the final portion, which is called PM 10. The majority of secondary pollutants are PM 2.5, which are formed when gaseous pollutants like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide condense. Gaseous pollutants include halogen derivatives like aldehydes, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, sulfur compounds like sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen compounds like nitric oxide, NO2 and ammonia, organic molecules like hydrocarbons, volatile organic compounds. Burning fuel such as gasoline, coal, oil, wood, charcoal or natural gas, or using solvents, paints, glues and other materials frequently used at work or at home all release volatile organic compounds or VOC into the atmosphere. Chemicals like benzene, toluene, methylene, chloride, methyl chloroform are examples of volatile organic compounds. Nitrogen oxide and hydrocarbon emissions eventually combine with sunlight to create ozone, a secondary pollutant at the ground level. Now, what are the causes of these pollutants? Motor cars, industries and power plants that burn coal or petroleum products are the principal sources of air pollution. A major contribution comes from fossil fuels, which is coal and oil. India and China are the two thickly populated countries in the world that uses the immense quantities of fossil fuels. Further, combustion of wood or agricultural waste is a significant source of air pollution in many countries. Additionally, industrial manufacturing processes that results in the generation of dust, mostly found in cement plants and metal smelters, or the discharge of gases, for instance from chemical production, are the causes of air pollution. Air pollution is also from indoor sources. In thickly populated areas, the normal everyday living will also contribute to exceptionally high levels of carbon dioxide and in turn air pollution. Particulate matter, nitric oxides referred to as NOx, carbon monoxide, organic compounds and lead are all released from the vehicles. These are also major contributors to air pollution. There are also several accidents which are caused by air pollution from factories. One such case is the Bhopal gas tragedy which happened in India. Organic chemical emissions that are catastrophic occurred in the Bhopal gas tragedy and it had very serious negative health effects. Methyl isocyanate, a necessary process in the production of pesticide carbaryl, was produced by the Union Carbide Corporation in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. A 150,000 gallon storage tank holding methyl isocyanate probably became polluted with the water on December 2, 1984, setting off a rapid reaction and releasing a cloud of hazardous gases. 200,000 residents living close to the factory was exposed to this hazardous gas. At least 6,000 people died instantly as a result of this poisonous exposure due to low wind speed and the high vapor pressure of methyl isocyanate. Severe irritation of the eyes, lungs and skin were the main non-lethal symptoms of this emission. There have been also reports on the effect of this gas on the brain system and reproductive organs. The respiratory tract was severely corroded by the methyl isocyanate and water interaction, which caused significant necrosis, hemorrhage and edema. Now next we will see what is water pollution. Water pollution is defined as the addition of undesired chemicals or any modification to the physical or chemical properties of water that render it unfit for digestion. Industrial waste effluents, home sewage, oil spills, agriculture spin-offs and other factors are the causes for water pollution. Groundwater is another important source for drinking water, and because it passes through several layers of sand, clay and rock, it is frequently free of germs. But poisonous substances like arsenic and fluoride can dissolve from the soil or rock layers and enter into the groundwater. Inadequately planned industrial sites or hazardous waste sites can cause direct pollution to the groundwater. Groundwater, which was otherwise considered to be in its purest form, gets contaminated with these industrial and hazardous wastes. Let us take the case of Minamata disease. The formal discovery of the Minamata sickness occurred on May 1, 1956, when a physician in Japan described an epidemic of an unknown ailment of the central nervous system. A neurological condition called the Minamata illness is brought on by extreme mercury exposure. Consumption of fish and shellfish contaminated of mercury molecule released from a chemical plant was found to be the primary cause for this Minamata disease. Paresthesia, ataxia, dysarthria, tremor, numbness in the hand and feet, generalized muscle weakness, loss of peripheral vision and impairment in hearing and speech are among the signs and symptoms. In severe cases, coma, death, paralysis and insanity are found to occur within few weeks of the commencement of the symptoms. So, what are the sources for this water pollution? Waterways can be contaminated by chemicals coming from the point and non-point sources. Pollution from a single source like an industrial facility is referred to as point source pollution. Non-point source pollution is the result of numerous small sources joining together to produce a large scale pollution. For instance, contaminants like fertilizers, herbicides and insecticides are picked up by the rain or irrigation water which moves over the land and it is carried into the rivers, lakes, reservoirs, coastal waterways or groundwater. Then these are called the non-point source of pollution. Paper and pulp mills use a lot of water and they also release solid and liquid pollution into the environment. The biological oxygen requirement, suspended particles and chlorinated organic chemicals like dioxins are typically high in the liquid waste as per the World Bank report of 1999. Surface water may become contaminated during the storage and transportation of the resulting solid waste from wastewater treatment sludge, lime sludge and ash. Biological oxygen demand, suspended particles and high ammonium content are all connected with the effluents from sugar mills. Additionally, pesticide residues could be present in the sugarcane rinse solution. Solid waste from leather tanneries such as sludge, hair, hide are also produced in enormous quantities which gets into the waterways. Acid, sulfides, chlorides and chromium are all present in the effluent. A liquid effluent that comprises of all these harmful leftovers from the equipment cleaning is a liquid effluent that comprises of all these harmful components gets released by textile and dye industries into the waterways. Waste from petrochemical production facilities include benzene, phenols, oils, grease, suspended particles, etc. Waste caustic and other dangerous compounds linked to cancer are found in the solid waste produced by petrochemical processes. Mining is another significant contributor of industrial water pollution. If suitable safeguards are not followed, such as the use of sedimentation ponds, the grinding of ores and subsequent processing with water, it results in discharges of fine silt with harmful metals into the rivers. Cadmium, which is significantly more hazardous, is typically a minor component in the lead and zinc ores. Significant water pollution may occur if cadmium is not recovered fully. The majority of widespread cadmium poisoning was found in Japan between 1940 and 1950. Nitrogen fertilizer use can be problematic in regions where agriculture is getting more and more intense. These fertilizers raise the amount of nitrates in the groundwater, which results in high nitrate levels in the subterranean drinking water sources. This can result in methemoglobinemia, the potentially fatal blue baby syndrome in very young children. Groundwater. Groundwater can become contaminated by naturally occurring toxic chemicals such as the high metal concentrations in underground water sources from mining regions. The arsenic contamination of groundwater in Argentina, Bangladesh, Chile, China, India, Mexico, Nepal, Taiwan and some regions of Eastern Europe and United States is the most significant issue from groundwater contamination. Another substance that may be present in large amounts naturally is fluoride, which can be found in parts of China, India, Sri Lanka, Africa and Eastern Mediterranean. Fluoride aids in the prevention of dental decay, but exposure to levels higher than 1.5 milligrams per liter in drinking water can lead to deposits in the bones and pitting of tooth enamel. Fluorosis of the skeleton can be crippling at exposure levels higher than 10 milligrams per liter. Next, coming to oil spills and leakages. Each year there are roughly around 3000 oil and fuel related pollution events in England and Wales. Water contaminated with oil makes it dangerous to drink, and large amount of it thrown into rivers or seas would kill the marine life and the ecosystem that support it. Oil also decreases the oxygen content of the aquatic environment. Additionally, releases of oil from beneath the ocean floor will also contaminate the ocean water. Next, coming to third, the land pollution. In other terms, land pollution refers to the degradation or the destruction of the earth's surface and soil as a result of human activity. Causes are industrialization. More commodities are created as a result of the rise in the demand for food, shelter and housing. More waste now needs to be disposed of as a result of this. More industries were formed in order to meet the demand of a growing population, which resulted in more deforestation. Modern fertilizer and chemicals, which were extremely hazardous, were manufactured and used to meet the requirement of the growing population. This caused soil contamination, deforestation and soil erosion. One of the main issues is deforestation done in the dry lands. No matter how much effort is put into reclaiming the land that has already been turned into dry and barren soil, it can never be made fertile again. Another significant factor is land conversion, which is the alteration or modification of the original features of the land to make it more suitable for a certain purpose. It severely impairs the land. Overcrowded landfills. Every household generates tons of trash annually. Waste such as aluminum, plastic, paper, cloth and wood is gathered and delivered to the neighborhood recycling facility. Items that cannot be recycled ends up in landfills, which harms the city's aesthetics and contributes to land pollution. Agricultural activities. The need for food has grown significantly along with the human population. To get rid of pests like fungi, bacteria and insects from their crops, farmers frequently employ very toxic fertilizers and insecticides. However, excessive use of these substances causes soil contamination as well as health poisoning. Sewage treatment. After the sewage has been cleaned, a sizable amount of the solid waste is still present. The remainder of the debris is subsequently dumped at a landfill, polluting the environment. Construction activities. Urbanization has led to an enormous amount of construction activity, which has produced massive waste materials including wood, metals, bricks and other plastics that can be seen outside every building and which is under construction. Next, coming to the fourth type, radioactive pollution. One of the most dangerous water contaminants are the radioactive waste, which can linger in the environment for thousands of years, making the disposal extremely difficult. Uranium, the element used to produce nuclear energy, is a very toxic substance. Therefore, the radioactive waste discharged by the nuclear energy facilities may be very detrimental to the environment and needs to be disposed of very carefully. These facilities occasionally experience accidents that result in the release of harmful waste into the environment. Nuclear waste from nuclear fusion and nuclear fission power plants are able to generate enormous amount of energy. Chemicals that are hazardous and damaging to human are present in these radioactive wastes. To reduce casualties, they are buried underground. The accidents caused from radioactive pollution is lifelong lasting. One such incident includes the Chernobyl case. Radioactive contamination from a broken nuclear power plant happened in Chernobyl in 1986. It is another form of air pollution and can have disastrous effects. The burning reactor released radioactive isotopes that spread over a sizable portion of what are now Belarus, the Russian Federation and Ukraine. This resulted in thousands of cases having thyroid cancers in youngsters. Further, it does not stop here. Into the future, it is posing a threat to many more cancer cases for decades to come. Next, the fifth type of pollution is the litter pollution. Whether in a city or in a rural area, littering is a prevalent issue. Without considering the negative impacts or consequences to the environment, we find people throwing their trash everywhere around. People frequently just chuck their cigarettes out of the window and put it on the ground. Cigarettes cause land contamination because they contain ingredients that are bad to the ecosystem. Next, coming to noise pollution. Noise pollution is an invisible danger. It cannot be seen, but it is present everywhere, both on land and under the sea. Noise pollution is considered to be any unwanted or disturbing sound that affects the health and well-being of human and other organisms. Sound is measured in decibels. Sound can travel in the air and is produced by the vibration of objects. Regular exposure to a higher sound level impacts the human being and other living organisms. Causes of noise pollution: traffic noise, air traffic noise, construction sites, catering and nightlife, animals. Street traffic sounds from car, buses, pedestrian, ambulances, etc. Construction sounds like drilling or other heavy machinery in operation. Airports with constant elevated sounds from the air traffic, example planes taking off or landing. Workplace sounds are often found in open space offices. All these are an irritant to the human life. Next, coming to light pollution. Light pollution or artificial light at night is the excessive or poor use of artificial outdoor light, and it disrupts the natural patterns of wildlife and contributes to increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, disrupts the human sleep and obscures the stars in the night sky. Specific categories of light pollution include light trespass, over illumination, glitter, glare and sky glow. Both natural and artificial light can also disrupt the human body clock and the hormonal system, and it can lead to health issues. The ultraviolet and the blue components of light have the greatest potential to cause harm. Light pollution has a wide range of negative effects on human health, such as disrupting our circadian rhythm, messing up with our melatonin levels and generally contributing to sleeping disorders. Light spill can result in safety impacts related to impairment or distraction of people, health impacts arising from impaired sleep, causing annoyance to people, compromising an existing dark landscape and or adversely affecting the natural system. Though light is not considered a very significant pollution, yet it does contribute indirectly to health effects. Coming to plastic pollution. Plastic pollution is becoming a pressing environmental concern. The reason being, there is a large amount of plastic objects and particles. Plastic pollution is most visible in thickly populated countries such as India and Egypt. In countries which has low recycling rates, the plastics are not properly discarded. Plastics that act as pollutants can be categorized by its size, such as micro, meso or macro debris. Plastics are inexpensive and has a durable capacity, and hence it is adaptable to be used for different purposes. Plastic pollution can afflict the land, waterways and oceans. It is estimated that 1.1 to 8.8 million tons of plastic waste gets into the ocean from the coastal areas every year. Chlorinated plastics can release harmful chemicals into the surrounding soil, which can then seep into the groundwater or other surrounding water sources and hence into the ecosystem. This can cause a range of potentially harmful effects on the species that drink this water. Some researchers state that by 2050 there will be more plastics in the ocean than the fish if it is going to be measured by weight. So, it is high time we take care that we do not include plastics in our living life. Next, coming to thermal pollution. Thermal pollution comes from hot water or cold water being dumped into a body of water. The discharge of heated liquid such as wastewater from a factory into the natural water at a temperature that is harmful to the environment is termed as thermal pollution. The undesirable heat makes it harmful for the animal to survive in the aquatic life. A large quantum of hot water comes from water used for cooling in a power plant that is released into a nearby river or waterway that harms the river ecosystem. Next, coming to the last type of pollution, which is the visual pollution. Visual pollution is the visible deterioration and the negative aesthetic quality of the natural and human made landscapes around people. Visual pollution is caused because of concrete buildings rising up where there was green lands present, when pollution impacts the aesthetics of the building. Although visual pollution can be caused by natural sources, example wildfires, the predominant cause comes from people who have gone about devastating the land at a very fast pace. Visual pollution disturbs the functionality and the enjoyment of a given area. Examples of visual pollution could include the plastic bags which are stuck on the trees, the advertisement hoardings lying all around the place with contrasting colors and content, overcrowding of people in certain areas, overhead power lines hanging haphazardly, poor urban planning, all that leads to visual pollution. In February 2007, a report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC representing the work of 2,500 scientists, economists, policy makers from more than 120 countries confirmed that humans have been the primary cause for pollution since 1950. A 2022 study published in Environmental Science and Technology found that the level of anthropogenic chemical pollution have exceeded the planetary boundaries and now threaten the entire ecosystem around the world. It is high time we take stock of these content and take a reverse to safeguard our ecosystem. All reports highlight that the earth is moving towards a no return path. All report identifies the fact that immediate action is required to save the planet earth. Now let us see some questions and answers. Question 1. What is the physical nature of a pollutant? Pollutant can be in the form of gas, liquid, solid or energy, or it can take other forms as we have seen: light pollution, visual pollution. Gases include greenhouse gases, namely carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxides. Liquid waste include waste from industries, urban runoff, sewage waste. Solid waste could include papers, plastics, metals, chemicals, etc. Pollution from urban communities also takes a very important role in changing the landscape of our environment. Question 2. What are the major sources of air pollution? There are 4 main types of air pollution. They are from the mobile sources such as cars, bus, planes, trucks and trains. Stationary sources such as power plants, oil refineries, industrial facilities, factories. Area sources such as agricultural areas, cities, wood burning fireplaces, etc. And natural sources such as wind-blown dust, wildfires, volcanoes. Now to question 3. How would you distinguish between a point and a non-point source of pollution? We have already seen point sources are identifiable points or places that we can easily locate where the pollution emerged from. Example, a diesel truck that produces a visible black exhaust fume from its tailpipe, a liquid waste released from a pipe to a waterway. So, the point from where the pollution came from can be easily located is called a point source pollution. Non-point source is one where it is difficult to identify the exact origin of the pollution. Example, a flood water that washes all types of waste from the land into the river. In such a situation, it is very difficult to identify the source from where the pollution emanated. So, to summarize, in this module, we have learnt about the different types of pollution. We have understood the sources of pollution. So, with this, we wind up module 5, types of pollution. Thank you.